Hey ladies and gentlemen, my name is Steven. Welcome back to another video. You are watching From Soul to Crown. I really do appreciate your viewership. I hope you're having a blessed day and I hope that this video finds you well. What I want to do in today's video is I guess more of a story time. I want to tell you what my journey through veganism has been like. I want to tell you a little bit about what inspired me to become vegan, how long I've been vegan, and also give you a little bit of insight as to what the most significant changes have been in my life since I decided to adopt this vegan lifestyle, because I don't even want to call it a diet. It is a way of living, it is a lifestyle, and it is one that personally resonates with me, and it's one that makes me feel good about myself. And I've always been an advocate and a proponent of just doing things without guilt, right? If you can eat a certain food without offense and you feel good about it, then that's fine. For me personally, I couldn't see myself eating animals anymore. I just didn't feel it. I always felt an immense sense of guilt. And this is something that has been following me for a very, very long time, ever since I was a kid. And I remember even being in grammar school, and I was 200 pounds in grammar school. I'm lighter than 200 pounds now, but I was always an overweight kid. And my grandfather, who always felt as though he was doing right by me and my brother, he would take us to fast food restaurants 3 times a week, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. It would either be Burger King or Wendy's. And on Sunday mornings, he would bring home McDonald's breakfast. So I would have like a McGriddle, and I would have like a bunch of other stuff, the hotcakes and sausage, the synthetic eggs, or whatever else is in there. And I enjoyed it at the time, and you know, my grandfather was doing right by me and he kept me and my brother alive, and so I really appreciate him for that, and I love him dearly, and I thank the universe and God that he's still with us today. But I do want to share my experience with becoming vegan, and I do want to tell you what motivated me to become vegan and what it was like and what are some of the obstacles that I faced along the way. So I decided to become vegan, and I specifically remember this because it was on March 2nd of 2009. And not only did I decide to become vegan, at the same time I was trying to lose weight. At the time I weighed 230.5 pounds, and according to my body mass index, I was obese. And I said, I need to make a change. This change needs to be made now. And I was feeling very demotivated for all of these years. I felt hopeless and defenseless. And I decided March 2nd of 2009 would be a good day, because that was the beginning of the Lent period for my religion's Easter. And so I was raised Greek Orthodox, and I wanted to give up all animal products for Lent. And this is something that Greeks usually do, or I should say religious Greeks usually do. And for these 40 days, we are to abstain from all animal products. That includes honey. If I'm not mistaken, it includes fish as well, so you can't be pescatarian. And it also includes wine and olive oil, believe it or not. So for those 40 days, I decided to go without any sort of animal products. This is the first time in my life that I ever gave up all animal products for such a long period of time. And this is something that I also did a tremendous amount of research into prior to embarking on this journey. And at the time, I had a very dear friend of mine. His name is Carlos. And at the time, he had been vegan for about 4 or 6 years. So I remember always consulting him for advice, you know, because I'd be reading the back of these labels, and I would see all of these ingredients that are, you know, 3 or 4 or 5 syllables long, and I can't even pronounce them. And I'm like, hey man, like, is this vegan? Is this is this derived from animals or whatever? And so he would always set me straight. He would always, you know, put me on the right path. And one of the biggest reasons why I decided to go down this path is my grandmother, while she would always be the one responsible for telling us what foods we could and couldn't eat on certain days, I feel like she was a 90%er. So she never went all the way there. And what I mean by that is there would be days when she's like, nope, you can't have any milk today, right? You can't have any dairy, no cow milk, no nothing, no cheese, no pizza. And I would, you know, get a loaf of bread, and I would look at the ingredients and it says contains milk. And I would tell her, yeah, which means grandmother in Greek. I would say, can I have this bread? She goes, oh yes, honey, of course. I'm like, but the package says it contains milk. And she would say, oh, how much milk could possibly be used in it? It's okay, it's okay. And so I felt like although she was trying to help us cheat a little bit here and there, I really just wanted to challenge myself. And I wanted to see, is this something that I could do? Could I actually sit myself down and say, you know what? I'm not going to have any animal products for 40 days. And I didn't. And I started to lose a lot of weight. So this is one of the biggest things that happened to me, one of the biggest differences that I started to notice immediately. I started to lose a lot of weight. As a matter of fact, over the course of a year and a half, I lost 83 pounds. I started at 230.5. I went down to 147.5. And that was actually on May 16th of 2010. When I weighed myself and I was 147. And that's not what I currently weigh. I have since gained a little bit of weight. I do enjoy my carbohydrates, although as of the past few months, I've been completely avoiding refined carbohydrates. But I ended up losing a lot of weight. I felt really, really good about myself. And even on Easter Day, when we could break our fast and everybody was eating lamb and all of these other animal products and boiled eggs and this and that, I said to myself, I don't feel good eating animal products. I don't feel good drinking milk. And this is something that's been a long time coming for me. And I recall maybe 2 months later, I sat there and I thought to myself, man, am I really gonna go the rest of my life never having a cheesesteak again? Am I really gonna go the rest of my life never having a slice of pizza again? Am I really going to go the rest of my life not having a chicken Parmesan sandwich again? And that's when I said to myself, okay, I think I'm gonna break my fast now. I think I'm gonna eat meat. And I remember going inside my kitchen. I must have been playing a video game or something. And I go inside my kitchen and I'm like, yeah, can you make me something to eat? But please make me something with meat. And she got so excited. She's like, oh my God, here's my grandson. He's being normal again. And she's like, yes, of course, honey. What do you want me to make you? You want me to make you this? You want me to make you that? And she got so excited. And I was like, just make me whatever you want. And she fried a chicken breast for me. And she put American cheese on top. That was the entire meal. And I said, okay, thank you, yeah. She made it for me. I sat back in my computer chair. I was playing my video game. I was probably playing a Final Fantasy game on the PlayStation. And I remember within a half hour, I ate it, didn't really think anything of it. I wasn't overly focused on it. I was just like, okay, I'm eating meat again. I broke my fast. And all of a sudden, I started to sweat. And it was really weird. I've never experienced something like this before. I started to sweat. A headache came on me immediately. My stomach started growling. I started feeling nauseated. I had this impulse to regurgitate. I started to feel weak. I felt the chills. I started shivering. And I'm like, what is happening to me? Something really, really weird is happening to me. And at that moment, I remember thinking to myself, maybe I should go force myself to throw up. Maybe I should bring myself to the bathroom, force myself to throw up, because obviously this meal is not sitting well with me. And I just got really sick, ran a fever immediately. And it was really peculiar. I've never had such a sudden onset of symptoms overtake me. And I went and told my mother, and she goes, okay, I'll make an appointment with the doctor. The very next day, I was still feeling quite ill. And I ended up going to see my pediatrician, Dr. Ali. And I walk into his office and he goes, okay, what's the problem? I said, listen, this is what happened. I explained all of my symptoms. And I said, but doc, I just need to preface it by telling you that I had been vegan for like 3 or 4 months or whatever it was. And yesterday, for the first time, I ended up eating meat and dairy in the same meal. And he goes, no, that's not it. That's not the reason why. He goes, there's just a stomach bug going around. There's a virus going around. Go home, have chicken soup. You'll feel a lot better. And I said, all right, doc, thank you so much. I left his office and I did not have chicken soup. I had vegetable soup. And I remember even 8 months after becoming vegan, I went and saw another doctor, Dr. Padkowski, who was also located in the same town. And he told me that because, and this is a caveman prehistoric myth, by the way, this is hyperbole, but he told me, because you're on a vegan diet, your body is not going to get enough protein. I'm sure we've all heard the protein myth before. I've been vegan now for more than 11 years. Nothing has happened to me. But he goes, because you're not, consuming protein, your body is eventually going to shut down. And your cells, for nourishment, will start to steal protein from the organs of your body. And what is an organ of your body? Your heart. So your heart is going to become weaker and weaker and weaker, he told me, until eventually, this diet is going to take your life from you. And I remember sitting in his office, or rather standing in his office, and listening to him say these things to me and thinking to myself, how is it possible that someone in your line of work, someone in your profession who is almost revered and thought to be so omniscient and all-knowing can make such an absurd claim like this? And I thought to myself, clearly this person doesn't know much about nutrition. Clearly this person has not read many articles on this topic, peer-reviewed scholarly articles on this topic. And I said, I'm not going to argue with him because I'm not that vegan. I'm the type of vegan where I attend a Thanksgiving dinner, not a word comes out of my mouth, but 9 people at the same time start making fun of me. That's the kind of person I am. And I just live and let live. I don't step on anybody's toes. I just say, okay, you can make fun of me. Because I always think to myself, the way that people treat you is their karma. The way that you react is yours. And so if you get into it with the mindset of, oh, I'm going to debate you, I'm going to argue you, I'm going to disprove you, I'm going to put you down, I'm going to show you how stupid you are, then I feel like, what am I doing? I'm not being a positive person. I'm not being a good person. I'm not being a kind human being. I'm not living my life with kindness and compassion and love and understanding and acceptance. And so I remember in that moment, I said, all right, doc, thank you so much. Well, to make a long story short, I have been vegan for more than 11 years now. I have been vegan since March 2nd of 2009. Throughout that whole process, I ended up losing 83 pounds. I also had a skin condition, a dermatological condition called urticaria, which is where my body, when it is exposed to, or my skin rather, when it is exposed to extreme temperatures, will actually break out in hives. One time I actually almost fainted. I was so lucky to have my mother standing right next to me, and she actually picked me up and carried me inside the house and put me down on the couch. But I used to break out in hives. My skin would actually turn purple. And it was a really crazy thing that happened to me as a teacher. One of my students also has that condition. And coincidentally, my wife now has that condition. She's had it for many, many years. Before she even met me, she disclosed to me. And that completely went away. I couldn't even go in the ocean water or at the beach without my entire body breaking out in hives. It was really, really scary. But, for many, many years, I've been detoxifying with blue-green algae and spirulina and chlorella. I've been consuming the E3 Live version, the one with the brain on as well. I've been just eating very, very healthy, very clean. I have been consuming a 50% raw vegan diet, but it's 100% vegan, just 50% of it is raw. I'm usually raw until dinner, right? And I really have only one meal a day as of the past year or so, but these past 11 years have been 100% vegan. And I wanted to share this story with you to let you know that by becoming vegan, you will have this increased clarity. You will have this increased mental acuity. I've always had this brain fog about me, and it's just something that I couldn't shake, and it's something that I couldn't really explain. I haven't had even a single Tylenol or Advil or ibuprofen or any sort of pharmaceutical drugs for more than 11 years, no antibiotics, nothing like that. And I've had doctors perform, tooth excisions. I had a failed root canal, and I've learned a lot about that as well. I will never get another root canal in my life, but I had a failed root canal just 1 year after getting it. And when the doctor decided to extract my tooth, he said, you should probably take this antibiotic just in case, you end up building an infection? And I said, no, not necessary. And I consume a lot of antiviral, antifungal, antibacterial foods. I do believe that there is a place for medicine and pharmaceutical drugs, especially in the case of, a severe infection. I know a few years ago, my mother came down with bacterial meningitis, which is an infection of the brain, listeria, as a matter of fact, Listeria monocytogenes. And that was a very difficult part for me, having to carry my mother's lifeless body down the stairs, because she would look at you straight in your eye and you would talk to her and she was completely unresponsive. I remember when she was admitted to the hospital, the doctor looked at her and said, "Who is the president of the United States?" And she couldn't answer him. And so that was a really, really scary moment. My mother had to be put on 4 different types of antibiotics that eventually, saved her life. And we suspect the reason why she had this bacterial infection was from consuming brie cheese, which is a type of unpasteurized cheese, and the doctor kind of corroborated that. But anyway, I'm going off on a tangent. I'm letting you know that on this channel, I will be talking about my vegan journey as well. This is something that I am incredibly passionate about. It is 1,000,000% a lifestyle change. It is something that I will never, ever, 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 ever go back to consuming animal products. And that's the thing, if you eat with offense, I don't think it's good, right? But if you are capable of eating something without offense and you personally feel as though you're doing the right thing, I am not here to try to encourage you or convert you or change you from the person that you are. I'm just letting you know that this is something that I started doing. It has made me feel a lot better about myself. I've gotten a lot healthier. I lost a ton of weight. I am much faster now when I jog or when I run or when I sprint. And I just have incredible energy. I feel like I'm a better father for my daughter. I feel like I'm a better husband for my wife. And I'm absolutely loving my life right now. So thank you all so much for tuning in. I really do appreciate it. I hope you took something of value from this video. I do apologize sincerely if I ended up talking a little bit longer than I normally would. I would also encourage you to, if you have any questions whatsoever, please feel free to leave a comment down below. I know this channel is still very young and very green, but I hope to continue to make content on this channel, and I hope to, help inspire people who might be watching these videos the very same way that I was inspired by other people whose videos I've watched for the past few years now, who have been a tremendous blessing to me. And again, I don't feel like anything happens by accident. I feel like everything happens on purpose. There is a divine reason in the cosmos for everything happening. And even the very reason why you're watching this video right now, all 2 of you. But I thank you so much for watching. I love you all. If you took something of value from this video, please consider subscribing to the channel by clicking the button in the corner. I would really appreciate you for that. Thanks again, and we'll see you in the next episode. Bye.